Why Giannis Antetokounmpo won't last long in the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo is arguably currently the best player in the entire NBA. However, even those who do not think he is yet the best in the league admit that he is at least one of the best in the league right now. He is likely to be the player that LeBron passes the torch of the NBA onto when he retires from the league. Giannis is likely on his way to winning his second consecutive Most Valuable Player award after the conclusion of the 2019-2020 NBA regular season. On top of this, he has carried the Milwaukee Bucks to be both the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, along with the best overall regular season record in the league. He is one of the most versatile players in the league, being able to play any position on the court as a result of him being 6'11", while still having the ball handling and playmaking skills of a guard. Lastly, Giannis is in contention for winning the Defensive Player of the Year award this season as well. He has done all this while being only 25 years of age. Despite all this, some fans and analysts believe that Giannis will not last much longer in the NBA. From even the beginning of his career, before he had even suited up for a single practice with the Bucks, many had Giannis labeled as a bust and ridiculed the Bucks for choosing such a raw prospect who had not even played a minute of college basketball. However, Antetokounmpo has used the negative things said about him in the organization that selected him as a motivator and has greatly improved each season he has been in the league to make him one of the best in the league. The Bucks look like geniuses for stealing him 13th overall, and everyone that had bad takes about him early in his career looks silly. Despite this though, some fans and analysts still think that Giannis does not have much longer left in the NBA, and today we will be looking into some of the arguments they make as to why they believe this, and evaluating how valid these arguments are. Keep watching to find out why some say that Giannis Antetokounmpo won't last long in the NBA. Lack of shooting. The first argument from those who believe that Giannis will not last long in the NBA is that he will be made irrelevant to the game as a result of his lack of shooting. While it is true that shooting in almost all forms is the weakest part of Giannis's game, it is difficult to believe that even this is enough to keep him barred from being on an NBA roster. However, when looking at his shooting percentages this year, they are very rough. His overall field goal percentage is a very efficient 54.7%. However, this can be explained away by looking at the types of shots that Giannis takes. With him being oversized and stronger than almost anyone in the league that tries to guard him, most of his shots come very close to the basket, or are dunks or layups. As a result of this, it inflates his field goal percentage, and makes it seem as if shooting is no problem for the young Greek superstar. When taking a closer look at the number from this season though, you can see that his shooting needs to see massive improvements. His 3-point percentage for this season is 30.6% on only 4.8 attempts per game. His free throw percentage is a career low 63.6% on 10 attempts per game. However, this is about as far as this argument goes. When going into his advanced stats like true shooting percentage, which is defined as a measure of efficiency that takes into account 2-point shots, 3-point shots, and free throws, Giannis has a true shooting percentage of 60.8% for the 2019-2020 season. When looking at the true shooting percentage metric, 50% is average, 55% is very good, and anything over 60% is exceptional. Lastly, while shooting is the facet of basketball in which Giannis struggles the most, he has continued to improve almost every year in terms of 3-point shooting. His career high is 34.7% from 3 in his rookie year. However, that was only on 1.5 attempts per game, compared to the 4.8 attempts per game that he has taken this season. In terms of free throws, however, it is puzzling to try to figure out if he is improving or regressing. Currently, this is the worst he has shot at his career percentage-wise, and he has had a couple of infamous moments this season, in which he airballed multiple free throws in a row. It seems as if he may be getting worse, as he has dropped nearly 9% from the line, while only shooting half a free throw more per game. With the physical style of play that Giannis plays, he needs to improve his free throw shooting, because as it sits this season, he is leaving countless points possible off the board, which could elevate his already astronomical 29.6 points per game to something in the low to mid 30s points per game. While this is a somewhat valid argument for why Giannis needs to work on his shooting, where he currently sits is nowhere near enough to force him out of the league anytime soon. His game relies heavily on his athleticism. The second argument made by those that think Giannis will not be in the NBA for long is that his game relies heavily on his athleticism. This is true, and something that James Harden mentioned when he had a beef with Giannis. He said that Giannis just runs at the rim and dunks, and that his game was all athleticism and no skill. This is the same argument that is used to explain why he will not last long in the league. Following this logic, it is a fair point. When Giannis inevitably does lose his athleticism, as everyone does at a certain age, he will be half of the player that he is today. His scoring would be almost impossible, as his offensive game is built upon athleticism and strength. However, Giannis has become a great passer, and has greatly improved his footwork on the offensive end. This ability to run an offense and give the ball to open teammates is something that will always be valuable, and will keep him effective on the offensive end of the court. Along with this, his footwork has led him to sprouting a bit of finesse at the rim. This year, he has countless times faked faked out a defender with a crafty Euro step. And if he continues to work on crafty finishes along with the shooting that we talked about earlier, even if he loses his athleticism, he will still be more than enough as a player to stay in the league. While it is true that Giannis's game does currently rely very heavily on his athleticism, and if he were to lose it, he would have a lot of adjusting to do and would become a brand new player. We have already seen him taking steps in becoming a more well-rounded player and improving facets in his game that will make him a relevant player for years to come. Possible injury concerns. The next point made by those that believe Giannis will not last long in the NBA is that there is a chance he is liable to become riddled with injuries that could derail his career and force him out of the league. There is some truth to this. The last memory we have of Giannis playing in a major game would be his matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers. In that game, Giannis suffered a knee injury that was speculated would possibly keep him out for the rest of the regular season. However, he has never had any truly serious injuries to this point in his career. His physical and athletic reliant game does leave him very susceptible to injuries at any minute. However, it's well documented how serious Giannis takes care of and prepares his body in both the season and the offseason. There is one final point that could lend some credence to this argument, and that is that he is extremely competitive. This is something that fans and coaches alike love to see in a player, and motivates the player to be the best version of themselves that they can be. However, it does lead him to play through injuries that can lead to becoming more susceptible to more serious injuries. If Giannis does stay with the Bucks and they continue to dominate in the regular season like they have this year, then Giannis could extend his career a few years and avoid a lot of injury risks. This is because of the success that the Bucks have had, along with the extremely high level of play that role players around him have shown this season. Giannis has spent plenty of fourth quarters and even entire halves of games resting on the bench, and he can even load manage and sit out entire games with a team still playing at a high enough level to get through many regular season matchups. In this season, Giannis has only had to play 30.9 minutes per game, which is the least amount of time he has spent on the floor per game since his rookie season with the Bucks, where he averaged 24.6 minutes per game. In comparison to the man that he is in contention with to win the Most Valuable Player of the Year award with, LeBron James has played 34.9 minutes per game. While his style of play and killer mindset would lead many to think that Giannis could be a candidate of falling victim to the injury bug, the way he takes care of his body, his lack of injury history, and the amount of time that he has to spend on the court would lead me to say that injuries are not a valid enough reason to think that Giannis would not last in the league for much longer. Could be on a new team soon. The final point as to why Giannis will not last long in the NBA is that he could be on a new team soon. Swirling in the NBA rumor mill is that the two-time MVP could be on the Golden State Warriors as soon as the beginning of next season. While some think that pairing him with Stephen Curry would be the perfect fit for the Greek Freak, looking at who will remain on the Warriors roster after the trade could be what some say is enough to lead Giannis out of the league. On the Bucks, the perfect team has been built around him. His sidekick Chris Middleton is one of the best off-ball players in the league. He does not need the ball in his hands to be effective, and is an all-NBA caliber defender. Along with this, he's one of the best three-point shooters in the league. This is the model player to have around Giannis, and the Bucks are a team filled with those types of players. All the starters are great three-point shooters, and do not need the ball in their hands to be effective. It is difficult to try to predict who will be on the Warriors after a trade for a player like Giannis occurred. However, if they do have enough players who can stretch the floor, then it would lead to his game being greatly limited. It would cause the paint to become clogged, making it much more difficult for him to finish at the rim or even get to the rim. Along with this, it will make it much easier to double team Giannis, and would make it harder for him to find open teammates if they are incapable of hitting an open three. Lastly, the Warriors would have to find players who can play great defense. Steph Curry is a known liability on defense, and forcing Giannis to pull even more weight on defense would also chip away at the energy he would have to be as effective on offense that he is capable of. To counter this point, Stephen Curry is one of, if not the greatest shooters of all time. He possesses such range that he can shoot from anywhere within half court. This, along with his passing ability, means even if Giannis does not have the ball in his hands, a great passer like Curry could find him for open looks around the rim. In terms of Giannis's passing, Curry has the ability to spread the floor in a way that no one can, meaning double teams along with where Curry can shoot will be likely to leave Warrior teammates open almost at all times. Giannis is a once-in-a-generation player, and I believe that no matter which NBA team he is on and who his teammates are, he's a skilled enough player to carry the team to a respectable record or put up astronomical numbers, neither of which would result in him being forced out of the league. Final thoughts. To conclude, some fans and analysts still believe that Giannis will not last long in the NBA, despite the amazing resume he has already put together at such a young age. Their main points are that he cannot shoot, he relies on his athleticism too much, he has a high risk of injury concern, and he could have a new team soon which would ruin the perfect role players that are around him on the Bucks. Despite all of the arguments, Giannis is continuing to improve his game to silence all of the doubters, as he has for his entire career, and is likely that he will continue to be a superstar in the NBA, and possibly even the best in the league. If I had to predict, I would say that Giannis will be in the NBA until he decides he does not want to play anymore, contrasting the thoughts of those who believe he will not last long. Thanks for watching, and subscribe to tune in to another basketball video like this one.